Marineford, the arc that is said to be peak One Piece, the arc that many still use to claim why this guy is stronger than that guy, is potentially the worst arc in all of One Piece. At least if you're someone who cares for continuity in a series. Now this video is definitely one that's going to anger so many of you power scalers in the comments, because it's about a fact that many refuse to believe. It's the fact that Marineford, while being the canon part of the overall series, is actually the furthest thing from useful when scaling characters in One Piece. Now before you all go for my neck in the comments, hear me out, because in this video I'm going to go through and explain not only every fault with the arc itself, but how it really fails to connect with the current story of One Piece. This is essentially a retrospective over-analysis of the Marineford arc, the quote-unquote best arc in One Piece. But before that, I'd just like to let you all know that starting March 1st, I'm going to be streaming almost every day over on Twitch. These streams will consist of reactions, discussions, video planning, and making with the help of you guys in the chat. We'll also just chill and do whatever the hell we feel like in the moment, but for the most part, I'm hoping these streams make video planning faster and more consistent in the future. So that's March 1st over on twitch.tv/AniholicYT. The link will be listed at the very top of the description, so feel free to click that and come tell me how wrong I am about the Marineford arc over there. Thanks so much for all the support, and back to the video. So let's begin with Marineford's biggest issue of all, the lack of HAKI within it. This is an issue that you will see encompasses all of early One Piece if you've ever actually taken the time to go back and look for it. Because there are so many characters who should have been able to use or even just know about the existence of HAKI in One Piece. So many that should have explained this incredibly important power system to the Straw Hats and Luffy. Like to name just a few of them, we have Crocus, the former doctor to Gold Roger himself. The Navy military, which in early One Piece is actually a bit of a joke if I'm being honest. Like I'm not saying every Navy officer should have been able to use HAKI in the series, but at the very least, the Marine captains should have been able to use this ability in Marineford. Like the earliest example of a Navy officer who should have been able to use this power is the Marine Captain Morgan. You know, the guy with the axe hand, one of the earliest enemies of Luffy. Like he was a Marine captain, you'd think he'd have access to even basic observation, but no, he's got nothing of note to his character. All he has is an axe for a hand, and we're supposed to believe that's enough to help him rise to the position of captain? But we're getting off topic. A few others that should have known about it is Buggy, Arlong, Dory, Broggy, and even Luffy's own brother Fire Fist Ace. All of these characters should have had or even just mentioned HAKI at some point along the way. And this isn't even all the characters who should have had HAKI in the early portion of One Piece. Like honestly, there's so many that I'm sure you don't even recall them all. Like I think it's actually going to require me to make an entire video about all the characters who should have known about HAKI in early One Piece. So if you're interested in that, let me know down below. But for now, let's get back to this video. Power scaling in One Piece has always been stupid and almost impossible to do. Hell, even Oda, the creator of the story, has been seen to struggle with this a number of times throughout his own series. And he even went so far as to say that power scaling in One Piece isn't actually important and he just wants to tell a good story. Which is something I do agree with. Like you do you boo, but just remember that your series is still to some degree a fighting manga, and as such needs to make some level of sense when comparing characters like Mihawk to Shanks. Because use Marineford Mihawk for an example. He was seen to struggle with not only a nobody bum like Fista, but also a pre-timeskip Luffy. Now when I say struggle, I don't mean Luffy was beating on his ass. No, what I mean is he couldn't actually land a hit on him. Like this character that has not only been stated to be on Shanks' level, but it's also greatly theorized to be the strongest observational HAKI user in the series, was not able to land a hit on base Luffy. Like we're supposed to believe base Luffy was able to outpace his future sight? Like come on Oda, you know you're my guy and I will back you no matter what, but even I can't defend this one. It just makes no sense. But this also wasn't even the biggest character disrespect that Marineford pulled off. Like remember Whitebeard, the GOAT, the quote-unquote strongest man in the world. The man who was said to be a rival to the king of the pirates himself, was stabbed by this absolute unit of a character. This man whose name is so utterly pointless that I can't even be bothered to look it up for the sake of this video. And you can't just say that, oh, Whitebeard was sick and dying when he got jumped on by this bum. Because think about this for a second. Whitebeard, who was sick, old and dying, was seen to be able to block an attack from the likes of Shanks on board his own ship mere days before the war began at Marineford. So there really isn't an argument that can possibly be made on why this bum could stab the quote-unquote strongest man in the world at Marineford. Now while we're at it, let's move on to the next point in question, which is the claims that were made in Marineford and how they really don't make a lot of sense outside of basically hyping up a character. Like take the title that was given to Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. Like I for one just want to know what world they were actually talking about when they made this claim. Because it damn sure isn't this one. Because Whitebeard using Marineford power scaling really doesn't appear as though he could even take on and defeat the likes of Luffy in Gear 5. Sure, he had a punch that could crush Akainu into the ground, but my guy got straight back up when seeking some young blood in the form of a young seaman boy named Kobe. So was that punch even that powerful and anything worth talking about? No, I don't think it was. And then we also have the claim that Sengoku, the former Fleet Admiral, made about Whitebeard, which can't possibly be seen as anything more than a fanboy attempt to make Whitebeard look like the GOAT. He claimed that Whitebeard, using the Tremor Fruit, could destroy the entire world. Like, come on. Really? This fruit that was seen to struggle against Law and his lackeys is supposed to have the power to destroy the entire world? I don't think so. Hell, it couldn't even destroy Marineford when used by Whitebeard himself. But granted, the argument could be made that Whitebeard didn't want to risk harming his sons that were on the island, so he never used it to its full power. This argument does make some level of sense, and while I would like to believe this was the case, when I start to consider that the Navy never actively went looking for this fruit, either out of fear or just to give it to one of the Gorosei, because as we know, if things get out of hand, they tend to like to destroy the world and then rebuild it in Imu's image. So a fruit that is said to have the power to do just that would be perfect, right? Well, I guess not, otherwise they would have went out and claimed it by now. But they never did, so it leads me to believe that the claims about the Tremor Fruit being capable of destroying the entire world was absolute bollocks and just used as a means to make Whitebeard appear more dangerous than he actually was. But moving on, we have the obvious issue that I'm sure everyone has a problem with, not just me, and that's how Gear 2 Luffy was able to flatten Garp, the hero of the Navy. And a quick side note, doesn't it appear as though the Navy really love their nicknames? Like, we got the hero of the Navy Garp, the White Hunter Smoker, and the Buddha Sengoku, and many more. But let's get back on topic. Sure, Garp didn't want to hurt Luffy, but there are so many things that he could have done without actually punching him into the ground. He could have simply just bear hugged him until the execution had been completed, or just do what Sengoku did to Garp and pin him to the floor so as to stop him from interfering in the war. He could have found sea stone handcuffs and just locked him to the floor. Like, this is a Navy base, for God's sake. There's gotta be one item around here somewhere that can pin down a pirate, so why not just do that? But then speaking of Sengoku, remember when he attacked the falling Luffy and Luffy just bounced it off with his belly button? Now that's some top tier power scaling right there. Base Luffy over Fleet Admiral Sengoku, I guess. Like, I don't know guys, there's actually so much wrong with the arc that is said to be the best arc in One Piece that it honestly pains me to continue. So I'm going to leave it here for now, but if this video does well, I might do another part or just move on to one of the other popular arcs that when looked at many years later actually sucks and kind of makes no sense in the overall story of One Piece. But with that, that's going to do it for me in this video guys. If you've enjoyed and agreed with anything I have said so far, then please give us a like down below because it really helps the channel out a lot. And also remember, we are going live on twitch.tv/AnihOlicYT Friday, March 1st. And we'll be doing so almost every day afterwards. So please do stop by and help us plan and create some of the future videos that you will see on this channel. With that said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and peace.